Friends, buddies, pals, how you doing? Welcome back to another video. It's actually Friday, it's a Friday filler, and believe it or not, I'm going to tie a fly for you. That's right, I know. If you know anything about me, you'll know I hate tying flies, and I don't really do it. For me to tie a fly, it's got to be super easy, it's got to be super quick, and it's got to catch fish. And this fly ticks all three of those boxes, and that's a good old HARE and copper. So, I'll show you how I tie it. Okay, so I'm going to use these size 14 grabber hooks from Camazan. Super strong, super buggy looking, and I like them. So I'm going to crush the barb in the vise there. Then I'm going to grab a 2.8mm tungsten bead. Tends to go pretty well with the size 14. Chuck that in there like that. Sweet. These are those tungsten beads. Just going with this colour because it's what I got. Brown tying thread again because it's what I got. And then I'm just going to tie that in. Wind that up with that, and then we'll probably take it to about there. Cool. Alright, now for the tail. So we're going to go some of this Coq de Lion. Not only is it hilarious to say, it makes pretty good tail fibres too, but whatever you've got, you know, you can use pheasant tail, you could use hen hackle, you could use just whatever you want really. But so whatever you choose to use, just grab yourself half a dozen fibres or so, and then just pull them off to the side, like that. Line them up, pull them off. Keep those nice and tight together, and we'll chuck them up about there. So just kind of a couple of loose turns over there just to get them in place. If you're not happy with the length, you can always pull them back a little bit, but you know, ain't got to be an exact science. And then just we're going to wind that back up towards the bead, tie it off there, and get rid of that. Cool. Next, I've got some copper wire. This is just, I don't know, some thin copper wire I found in the bottom of a bag. Doesn't matter. You can use red. Actually, red looks pretty good. Use black. You can use copper. You can use brown. You can use whatever color you want. Mix it up. Try it out and see what happens. We're going to wind that in. Wind that down to where we tied in the tail. All right. So now I've got a mix of this hare's ear dubbing and this sparkly kind of UV stuff here. So what I do is I chuck those in a bowl, chop them all up, get them all kind of mixed in nicely to like a premix, and then I'll pull off some of that premix, and then I'm going to make kind of like a thin line of dubbing mix. And then you're basically going to premix that. Make yourself a nice little thin line, and don't use too much dubbing because it's real easy to use too much dubbing and then you get a really thick profile fly, and I don't think that's really what you want to be going for. So I'm going to take my dubbing needle, and then I'm going to flatten out my tying thread, and then I'm going to take the point of my dubbing needle, and I'm just going to split that in half like that. Okay, so now I'm going to take my premix line of dubbing, my line of premix dubbing should I say, and I'm going to offer that up in between the two bits of thread and then trap it in there like that. Now as you let it go, you'll see it kind of starts to spin a little bit, so carry on that spin and really wind it up so it goes real straggly like that. That's kind of what you want. And now we're just going to wind this up nice, just to cover that thread and that wire to about 3/4 of the way up. It's pretty good. So now I'm going to stop there. I'm going to wind up my thread. So I'm going to wind up my wire the opposite way, and I reckon about 3 turns is bang on for this pattern at this size. A couple of turns of that to lock that guy in place. And then we'll get rid of that wire. Boom. Done. Flatten that down a little bit. Damn it. And then what I'm going to do there is I'm then going to just wind that up to the bead. Now if you get into the bead and you kind of got a good looking fly and you've still got dubbing to go, just tease it back out. Yeah, keep those proportions nice. Whip finishing tool. I don't bother with any kind of head cement because I'm lazy, and generally my flies don't last long enough to fall apart, so I don't see the point. That in, trim that off, give it a little bit of a prune up if you need to, but there you've got yourself a pretty good pattern that you should always have in your fly box. I catch a ton of fish on that, a ton. There you go, there you have it. Super quick. I mean, that couldn't really be an easier thing to tie. I catch a ton of fish on that fly, I really do, and you should always have one of those in your box. It'll be one of my first kind of go-to patterns for sure, so make sure you got those in your box. Alright, I'm out of here. We are into level 3 lockdown now in New Zealand. That means we can go fishing. So that means I'm going to go fishing between now and next week. That means I'll have a new video for you next week on the local rivers. Hopefully I can catch fish still. I don't know, I don't even know if I can still fish. It's only been a couple of weeks, but I kind of feel like I can't do it anymore. So either way, whatever happens, I will have a video for you next week. So we'll catch up then. Have a great week, everybody. I'll see you on the next one. Peace.